Your opportunity right now is really just to connect and establish a rapport during a very rough, tumultuous time, and try to keep that connection going. So when they do make that decision, they come to that, you're there when they come out. How you're going to do that, you got to be careful on how you do it. I do believe direct mails, it's up in the air. We've cut our direct mail back just because we don't want to waste money, and direct mails always work. Everybody knows I'm a huge advocate of it, but right now, people are just kind of collecting your mail and just setting it down or putting it in the garbage can.
Hey everybody, Jamel Gibbs here. Welcome to another podcast episode. And today we have a very good friend of mine, very special guest who's a specialist in marketing. And as you guys know, marketing is the lifeblood of the real estate investing business. If you're not marketing, then you're not in business, because marketing allows you to generate leads. And if you're not generating leads, you're not in business. If your phone is not ringing, then you're not in business. So our special guest today, he has been in the business for a little over 16 years at this point. I've had a chance to get to know him over the last few months. We're quickly becoming really good friends. Just had a really good conversation right before this podcast, and he had me cracking up. So my eyes may be watering a little bit right now. But, I'm willing to bet that most of you guys, if you've been around real estate for any amount of time, then you know the importance of marketing. But I'm also willing to bet that you've probably come across some of his marketing pieces because they're widely used in the real estate investing arena. For example, if you've seen anyone using, let's say, handwritten postcards, chances are they originated with our special guest. He's definitely a marketing genius. So we're going to talk about marketing in its entirety today. We're going to share some of Rick's secrets with you and share with you how you can get started driving leads into your business as well. So without further ado, let's welcome my good friend, Rick Ginn, to the call. What's up?
Thanks, man. He was commenting on my COVID-19 haircut. So my daughter cut my hair, and I found out he has history as a barber. So I'm jealous. It seems like that's the rage, man. Everyone's got a bad haircut on the internet, but not you.
Oh man, I've been cutting hair for about 30 years at this point. So I've been cutting my own hair for 20 years, and so it hasn't been a problem for me, man. But yeah, man, why don't you tell them a little bit about yourself? How did you get started in real estate?
You know what? I was working a corporate job. I did actually what my dad told me to do, and I followed that plan. And basically, after 12 years, it didn't work out the way I wanted it to. So I was always fascinated with real estate. Picked up a couple. I picked up a book by my first run-in with real estate was a book by Rolf DeRoos. And he talked about basically a creative financing book. And it was a book, and I read it in like 2 days, which was a huge feat for me at the time. I was never a big book person at the time. Anyways, I went to my wife and decided we were going to, we just started having babies. And I said, we got to do something else, because this corporate thing, handwriting's on the wall. So 4 of my bosses got fired over a 10-year period. And they were trying to work me up to wanted me to go to like South Dakota. And I'm a South Florida guy. Bottom line is I wound up going to I responded to a radio ad, and I went to well, they're not webinars. Back then you actually used to go to a hotel room and they'd sit you down and pitch you. And I just kind of dove in with a mentor. I had no idea what I was doing. I had no idea what they were going to do. And so I had a game plan to quit my job in 12 months. And the 12 months turned into 6 months, and I made more money in 6 months than I made all year working 70, 80 hours a week. And so in 2000, I made that leap early 2004. By the end of it, I went full time, and I was 100% focused on wholesaling, nothing else. So my first 2 to 3 years, all I did was wholesale, meaning strictly assignments, quick in and out. And it was a lot of fun. And what I discovered when I did that is, you got to understand, back then there wasn't I couldn't go and find like a Jamel course, or there was no guys or gals on the internet to like figure, like you were lucky to even have internet service back when I did it. So what happened is, I just focused on marketing. I'm like, man, the secret here is to get people to engage you. So my first 3 years, I played a lot with the marketing, and everyone was like, how did you become such a marketing expert? So I listened to people like Dan Kennedy, some other good copywriters, which we've talked about in the past. And I still love real estate, but it's like, I feel like, honestly, as a wholesaler or anybody really, you have two jobs. One's understanding real estate and everything you do, and the other is being a very proficient marketer. If you could do both, you can play in both ponds. If you only know real estate, you're going to have to go find guys like me and Jamel to get you your product to do what you need to do. And those guys, they have a huge disadvantage because they're at will of what the market, what they get. So when there's a shortage of inventory, like there's been recently before all this, I was just really surprised what people will pay for stuff. And like, if you just learn this skill set, you can do it. So honestly, marketing is everything to me. And so I've discovered I think people complicate the hell out of marketing, even to the point where the data is getting really convoluted, like what's this, what's that. And so what I want to share with you is just some really simple pieces that you can use today to make an effect on marketing. And this is 16 years of experience. Whenever I struggle, like we have a massive change right now, everything's shifting, I just go back to the real basics of marketing. And if you do that, you ask really basic questions, it's mind-blowing. Every product I've ever created is basically out of necessity of me being pissed off that I can't get the results. So the biggest problem we have right now is, now we're all accessible, which is dynamite. Us just being on this meeting, I don't have to get a plane and fly over to you. But the real enemy here is saturation. So I've learned that, what was it? Don't go out and be a pioneer. Unfortunately, I am a pioneer. So they said the pioneer is the guy who's standing face down in a ditch with the arrows in his back because he went and took on the Indians himself. And then the really wealthy guy just figures out what the pioneer does and did a little bit better, and he doesn't get shot with the arrows in the back. So it's like, I don't want people, I would never advise someone to go out and do stuff on their own and try it, because it's very expensive. And I've had a lot of products fail. It's all about what your customers want. It's never about what you want. So like all the products that I developed, handwritten postcard, you can Google it. I'm not going to bore you, your users with the story, but it was out of necessity. How could I get like a letter card that looked like it was handwritten and get it done efficiently and fast? And I spent 1.5 years testing the data. And so the beauty of all my products is that I use my business as basically a test lab, and I test the crap out of it. And a lot of times people don't see it. I'll spend, tremendous amount of money testing data. And you know, I've worked on a project for over 2 years now, which the COVID's kind of changed it up, but it takes that kind of data, and we'll spend $50,000, $60,000 just to collect the data. Whoever gets that data first gets it raw, then you have something to go off on it. And it's, right. So like, don't go out and do what I do, because it's expensive to be a pioneer.
So learn from somebody who's already doing it, basically, right? Yeah, man.
Yeah. So in the beginning, like they go, hey, Rick, I had to do it because nobody was doing it. So I had to cut a trail, but it was expensive. It hurt. And you got to understand, when you do a project like that, you're taking away from your business, and you're probably losing revenue. And I'm brutally guilty of like doing that. But in the long run, it's paid off.
So what are some of the methods that are working for you right now as far as marketing and driving leads in this market that we're currently in?
Okay, so we're talking about right here, COVID-19 in the middle of May. And without getting overly technical, so here's a technique I teach is you got to think like your customers. So like I like fishing. Like it just, to me, it's, so I was taught a long time ago, you want to go fishing, you got to think like a fish. Like, what are they doing? What are they talking about? You know, you send your bait down. So we're sending bait out there with a hook, right? And you got to stop trying to figure out what you think they need. And if you don't have data, just start asking questions from like old data you have.
Mm-hmm.
So the number one thing is a lot of people are out of work right now. They're stuck at home and they're scared. Like they're just downright scared. So it's, you know, I see a lot of people right now saying double down. That's advice of a blackjack dealer, not a real estate investor. Is
Yep. 100% agree, man.
Your opportunity right now is really just to connect and establish a rapport during a very rough, tumultuous time, and try to keep that connection going. So when they do make that decision, they come to that, you're there when they come out. How you're going to do that, you got to be careful in how you do it. I do believe direct mails, it's up in the air. We've cut our direct mail back just because we don't want to waste money, and direct mails always work. Everybody knows I'm a huge advocate of it, but right now people are just kind of collecting your mail and just setting it down or putting it in the garbage can. So you have we don't do RVM in the state of Florida. It's efficient, but here's the problem with the texting is everyone's using the exact same message. You know why? Because I get at least 3 a week. Now I own property, and I'm like, my God. The problem is we've gotten so used to duplicating what everybody does. That's like, we're like little robots and machines. So why not just send out like a test split on like your SMS? So we've done a lot more creative stuff with SMS. I'm saying if you're going to use SMS, don't be the, hey, I want to buy your property. You know, let me know if you're interested. Because that's what 95% of the people are taught out there. You need to throw in like an engaging question. I'm not talking about like just trade bait type of deal. Just throw out a more open-ended question type of deal.
You know,
Not, do you want to sell your house?
What's been working really well, and I've even been caught by this myself. Someone would just type me, "Hey, Jamel," you know, and then an exclamation point behind it, just to get the conversation started. And you're like, "Who's this?" And then you respond.
Exactly.
You know?
So what I'm saying is, if everyone would do something a little bit different, we all wouldn't have as many problems. A lot of these carriers are blocking our messages because we're so saturation it's killed RVM. It's going to kill voice broadcasting.
Yep.
In my theory, I hope it's not true, but I think they're going to wipe out SMS. I hope they don't. But eventually, so you notice all these tips. So, and then back to cold calling with like the DNC, that started a long time ago, back in the 90s, I think, or early 2000s. And you see a pattern. You piss your customers off enough, they'll shut you down. And that's kind of where it's almost like we're going back full cycle, where it's like mailing is going to be the only legal correct channel to do stuff, which is kind of ironic because you got to pay the government to do it. So the main thing have you ever gotten like a mail piece where I swear to God, you got even a postcard? I got one recently. It took me 5 minutes to read the front and the back of it.
Yeah.
Okay. There's no, like, you got to leave something dangling for your customer. So like, here's an example. I'm not going to give like all my trade secrets away here, but so on like an SMS, did you get my contract? Question mark. Jamel, did you get my contract? They're going to contact you every time. Yeah. What contract? You know? So we're just trying to, so my goal with marketing is it has one goal. And if this is the only thing you take away from there, your goal is to engage your prospect ethically. That's it. I don't care. Just don't do the trade bait stuff. Now, I've tried some crazy stuff in the past, the urgent notice, final notice. You will invite problems from the U.S. Postmaster General. That's the guy's name. Unfortunately, I got to know him on a first name basis back in 2000. 10 because I tried in a crazy marketing scheme and it blew up on me. I did one with the check, like the little check, here's your
Yeah.
check.
Yeah.
Oh my God, dude. So you can actually draw out the wrong type of attention and get really negative. And you can actually get negative press. You can actually wind up in the newspaper and crap like that. So your main goal is to engage your prospects. So if I'm going to go SMS, how can I engage them legally, ethically, and just at least start a conversation? I want to try to start a conversation to be able to qualify them, and that's it. So I'm going to engage. If you don't engage, don't worry about the rest of it. It won't work. So don't try to take, if you're doing a letter or like you're even dropping off a something at the door, you've got to give your prospect a reason to call you, engage you,
Exactly.
go to your website. So the simplest thing is think like your customer, and your job of whatever marketing piece you do, if it's cold calling, SMS, RVM, VP, or direct mail, is to have them reach out to you. Once they reach out to you,
It's
like
game
that's it.
on.
But if they don't reach out to you, you're a dead man walking. And that's the biggest thing I tell people, like, how is your prospect going to engage you? And it's simple as that. On direct mail, I'll tell you this, less is more. I've done the full print ad thing. And I think we way overthink
So
our marketing pieces too.
yeah, definitely. Let's talk about that for a second because that's interesting right there. So most people are terrible. Let's be honest. Most people are terrible, like atrocious at writing copy, or they'll just copy somebody else's stuff, right?
Yeah.
What do you think some of the biggest obstacles are? Why do you think that's the case? Why do you think most people are so bad at writing copy? Even when they use,
Um,
what would be some basic principles they can use to become better at writing copy?
okay. So take the first one, as I said, think like
Mm-hmm.
your customer. What would like motivate you to call somebody? I've gone like deep discussions on this. When I first started, everything we did was a recorded voicemail.
Mm-hmm.
Like, honestly, if I got back to you in a week, you were lucky. I mean, I didn't know how spoiled I was. I swear to God, I'd mail out 500 postcards and we get like a 30% response rate. I'm just like, wife goes like, you got these 300 people to call. And I used to like, crap. I would love to have those problems these days. It's more
Yeah.
like, 15,000 marketing pieces, you got 30 people to call back sometimes.
More competition these days.
So the challenge we're talking about how if you're going to do copywriting, I think people you got to just ask like some basic questions. So here's the biggest thing. Here was one of my biggest aha moments in a recent marketing piece I'm putting together. I took the data of we went back 6 months and we picked a time period because the market has been changing. If you're in wholesaling right now, there's a lot more competition, even during this COVID-19. And so we log every one of our responses from our customers. We have a drop down box. So if it's a VA, and by the way, I still answer phones sometimes because I just like to know what's going on. I like to know I can still like kill it, if you know what I mean. And then Zach's heavily involved with it. And then we have VAs. And then you just log the data. And it's like, here's the problem is we're all we buy houses guys. And what do? How do we buy them? We buy them for cash. We close quick. It's like, it's the exact same jargon on
Message.
every
Yep.
postcard. So if you don't believe me, just go to your next appointment's house and just ask for their most recent postcards. And so I've always used my appointments as a chief intel. We gather all the postcards, and now I get a blueprint. I get to see what Jamel's doing, and like, oh crap, he's doing this, and I'm doing that. And it's a huge wake up call for us.
Yeah.
And so the biggest thing is you send people a postcard, say, we buy houses cash, and then they call you. And it's like, I feel like people kind of get in a fight with them because what's the biggest thing they say? Well, how much you going to offer for me? I'm like, I don't know. And then they struggle with the conversation. The ad copy. So the easiest way to be a copywriter is just go out and look at the stuffs out there and go, how long have these guys and gals been doing it? And what's the little bit of twist I can do? Maybe it's not that you have a different service. The idea is what will make me, if this prospect gets 10 postcards, how are they going to call me? So here's things I thought about when everybody was mailing, what are they, 4.25 by 5.5 inch postcards? I tried the like 6x4 postcards. It didn't work. It didn't work. It seemed more commercialized. I've tried the big fat business approach to the personal one. I can assure you the personal one works hands down so much better than the other one. And then the biggest problem is I see when people go with the blank slate. So when you go in a Word document and you pick blank document.
Yeah.
Brutal, man. Brutal. Because your mind just like starts, because here's the thing is I can take your postcard, you can take mine. And so we have certain little things that make a huge difference on the postcard. So you know how the eye looks at something quickly and passes judgment on it. If you think it or not, you make your subconscious mind makes an instant decision if it's garbage or not, especially on mail. So here's a little key: is it's slight little spin, and then just placement. So I can take your placement markers on there. So like a little secret, handwritten postcard. My God, I should probably roll that thing back out sometime. I built that with the original intent that you can modify the ad copy so you don't get stuck in this rut. I still get people complaining all the time. I sold that thing for like $47 when I started. It is still one of the most effective tools out there. But here's the key is I gave everybody the place markers. And then did you know that your sign off at the end makes a tremendous difference if they're going to reach out to you or not? So what we did is said, typically you'll do sincerely, thank you. You put like a comment and Jamel. So what we did is we took that and then we turned it slightly sideways because that's how, if you're doing an impersonal postcard. And then we tried 9 different salutations. After a year and a half, the one that hit the most, that got the best response was God bless. And it wasn't God bless you, it was God bless. Wow. I don't know why, but it's a very neutral you can't get pissed off by me saying God bless. You just can't. So the problem is if you make it sincerely sounds like something like a formal letter would write you.
Right.
Truly. So do yourself a favor. Go out and look at all the handwritten postcards out of the market. Everybody's copied what I did. The reason they did it's because it worked. So here's what you do. Take the stuff that works on the placeholders on any type of ad copy you do, and then you can kind of put your own spin on it. Because what I find is, unless you say something so crazy or put too much information on it, most people will hear you out that need the services you need to follow up.
Right.
And the other difference I did is we switched from voicemails. When I was taught, we were taught to leave a 2-minute recorded message. And then if you had an interest, you'd push the button and leave a message. It doesn't work in my market anymore. So we've gone from highly recorded messages to voicemail to now we answer live, man. So we have VAs that help us out 10 hours during the day, and then we rotate the phones. And so with technology, we have amazing service. So our call rail lets us, the call will go, if the VA misses it, then it'll go to Zach, then my wife, and then I'm like the catch-all. And then we all rotate Saturday and Sunday, which we love. But we're not 24 hours a day, but like long as I'm awake, if we can answer a call, that one call can be a $30,000 or $40,000 deal. So place markers to me is everything. So like alignment into that, and then you can change a little bit of the ad copy. I would get away from the just 100% we buy houses cash, because I think people, let's think back.
Remember, man, that's a canned message. Everybody's using it, and you're not going to stand out at all.
So here's a great exercise. If your people want to learn, take a bandit sign. I started on bandit signs. I still love them to death, but they're a pain in the butt. A bandit sign is a very, very, dude, you want to talk about very little room for an ad copy, right? So when I had a RIA, I ran the largest RIA over here in one of South Florida. Is we used to take, we'd have a contest and 10 people would volunteer, and then we break them up in group. And when you give somebody a blank bandit sign, I don't have one here, watch the look on their face when you give them a black marker. They're like, what do I do? And I give them 3 rules. There's three basic concepts with a bandit sign. You only have three lines. It doesn't fit any other way you do it. You got to keep it simple. And one of the lines actually has to be your phone number. And then we found you can't write on the back of it because in the glaring sun, they're making the signs so much cheaper you can see through them, and it convolutes the message. And we used to do like a $50 giveaway. And man, to watch people struggle with it. Actually, I should probably just record a video for you and show you the exercise. It's absolutely amazing. And then you go, what's the most important thing you're trying to drive home? Now, then they had to do a cheat sheet, do your reconnaissance on every other bandit sign. And as soon as I tell you to look at every bandit sign, your eyes just, you go around your town, you're like, holy crap. And all I do, like a little exercise, is go around and we just take pictures of all of them. It's how we connect with local investors. It's actually one of our biggest lead generating strategies because most of them don't know what they're doing. And then we look at their signs and then we just reverse engineer it. So if your job is just to engage the prospect, what are you going to put on a bandit sign? Are you going to put "We buy houses fast"? It's not enough anymore.
Sounds like everybody else, man.
Remember the guy who's the guy that broke the 4-minute mile, right? For 100 years, nobody could do it. Soon as that guy broke the 4-minute mile, 36 people broke it. Okay. Yeah. So you got to stop doing the "We buy houses" and with the recording. So we never the last rule is never put your own cell phone on the sign, and check with your local ordinances.
So what are some of the things that newbie real estate investors should keep in mind when it comes to marketing?
As I said, just keep it simple, and then you got to work within your budget. So don't just go out and watch. I mean, it's amazing information out there now. Like you, me, all these other people out there, and you're going to hear about all these. I got to skip trace. I got what do you call it? I got a list stack, and I got to do this. I go, listen, start easy. If I'm starting out tomorrow, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this pen and pad. I'm going to go out and I'm going to collect 100 addresses of problem type properties. It's that simple. You guys way overthink that crap. Because when I look at it, a lot of my marketing, I look off direct mail, SMS. They all have a common denominator. The house is a little bit rough. You pull up, you're like, how the hell did we miss this? If you just did like a driving for dollars campaign, you would be amazed at what you can do.
You know what's interesting about that? You know, when we first started, I started in 2002. You started in 2004, I believe you said. And, you know, when we first started, like you said, no internet, no true guidance. You know, we didn't have list stacking. We didn't have all the software and everything else that, it's so easy to get started these days. We did it old school. And ironically, that stuff still works even right now. Most people miss the boat. They misunderstand what it's all about. Get creative, drive leads, get deals, period. So with that in mind, if we had to provide, let's say, a 3 or a 5-step process for our average listener, whether they're new or they're a little more advanced, to run a successful marketing campaign to drive leads into their business, understanding that marketing is the lifeblood. Without marketing, you can't negotiate deals. Without negotiating deals, you can't make any money. If we had to give a 3-step or 5-step process to the average listener to get started on their first marketing campaign or their next one, what type of advice would you provide?
So there's perfect timing though. So like during COVID, a lot of times when you don't have a blueprint, we don't have history, what's going on in today's world, the best thing to do is go back to basics. So if you ever played football or soccer, a good coach would tell you when you struggled, let's just learn how to block. Let's get back to the core, So if you did offensive line or, anything like that, you just sit there and work on the most basic mechanical drill until you mastered it. And so instead of going out and trying to getting a 70-yard pass, when things you get most frustrated, just go back to the basics. Actually, this works. This is a little life hack that works in anything. Yeah, because you got so much information and you're looking for confirmation. And unfortunately, a lot of times we have confirmation bias. We want something to work that's not even working. And sometimes you got to pull back and look at the data. So what you're seeing right now in real estate investing, especially wholesaling, is people are going back to things they know have worked time and true over time, and they're getting rid of the fancy toys. So number one, I'm going to give you the best CRM. If you're just starting out, don't overcomplicate this, man. I did a yellow pad for 5 years. Like, I'm being brutally honest. I would write down, I had a tickler file. And so when I had to call someone back on the 25th, I'd pull that contract and I'd put it in on the 25th. That being said, and then you can set up to like a Google spreadsheet. Then when you make some money, then you can figure out your CRM. So that's like, there you go. I just saved you 3 days of like hassle with it.
Man, then I did go same thing, man. Same thing. I used to teach people 10, 12 years ago, and it's amazing how it still works.
And then I'm going to find probably I'm going to start with one and maybe go up to 3 lead sources that are tried and proven. And I know people have always had success with them. So, and they're going to be like brutally simple, but number one, just driving for dollars. You can fill the pipeline up 500 to 1,000 leads a month. It's perfect sweat equity, and it's great. You know, get out of the house, go out, identify properties. And you know what? The key with driving for dollars is eventually people do not purposely put blue tarps on the roof, let their weeds get 6 feet high, and let the garage door fall off.
True.
They don't do it on purpose. There's some sort of struggle going on. And guess what? When you try... So basically, I would collect that list. And then, you know, everyone talks about skip tracing. Skip tracing is awesome and it's convenient. But I'm going to be honest with you, when I started out doing this, I just go up and use whitepages.com, Spokio. There's some cheap, you know, $9, $10 services that you can look people up. It's a little time consuming, but you got to work with what you would. If I had to fill out 1,000 instead of skip tracing, which cost you anywhere from 12 to 20 cents a piece, like, just get rid of your excuse. If you don't have the money, you got to manually go through and rip it and get it done. We did that when we didn't have skip tracing. I didn't have a choice between me and a VA, and we do it. The next one I'm going to do is a really, really, really simple one, and we're having big success during this time. Is almost every property I buy has been on the code violation list at least once or twice in its lifetime. Here's a little secret. Code violations, they're making it more difficult because people are selling the information online. With the whole COVID thing, they don't want you coming in their office. The minute they think you're coming in the office, they will send you the damn list. Ask me how I know. We have had, in the last 2 months, a plethora of gathering information online. And the idea is, if you can set, so think about this, once this all goes away, which one way it will, if you can set up a relationship with that person just to be able to call them or a click of a mouse to get the code violations, amazing. Before, we'd have to make 2 to 3 trips and clear a legal team just to get the code violations in our local county. So that's, you know, I have a small county, and I think we get a list of 700 people. We pound those. We have a lot of fun with them. So that one, once again, you can manually skip trace it, or you can actually go door to door and try to figure out what's going on. The last one that I have never stopped doing, and I started way too late, and I know which one I'm about to say, is probates. It's part of life. People die with it, and it costs us about $100 a month to do probates, and that's just a mailing. We do between 30 and 70 leads a week, and we consistently mail to them. And we, you know, I teach people how to warm call them, not cold call them. I was kind of against that in the beginning, but the data told me otherwise. And those 3 alone right now, to be honest with you, is the root backbone of what we're doing in our business. We are doing some direct mail, but our direct mail is cut back about 75%. And we're trying some new techniques to really shake up the direct mail industry. But I can afford those luxuries because I've been doing it, you know, 15, 16 years plus. But the data is like all over the board. And like, so will people respond better to direct mail sitting in their home all day? We don't have the data back yet.
Right.
So someone has to make a bold move to figure that out. So everybody wants to share it. So the question is, there's a pro cons. People probably aren't mailing as nearly as much. So maybe you're being hurt a little bit more. But then I think people gotten too cute with the message, sending out COVID-19 postcards. I just don't like. I don't sell fear, man. I don't believe in it. Like, you want to scare somebody
I
into a
didn't think that
deal.
was a good move, man, for people to send out. I mean, that's just
I,
not smart. Come on.
I just think it's you're trying to ride with the wave,
Yeah,
and
yeah. Agreed, man.
so it's everybody has different. I'm not going to get into the
Some people will do
politics
anything
of
for a
like
buck.
what's
Let's
going
just
on
put
with
it
it.
that way. Some people will do
But
anything.
it's just like you can't kind of align with it. So really, probates, driving for dollars, and code violations. And if you're just started, start with one, driving for dollars. Go until you get 100 leads. Figure out how painful it is to skip trace it. And you can manually skip trace it. You can hire a VA. You can do it. But it's just time consuming. That's all. And it's you can do it within 10, $20, but you're gonna spend 8 to 10 hours to do it and get creative. The other thing is we also do is you can identify if somebody's living. So driving for dollars, you can take it to the next level. It's more than the address. Make notes. Is the house occupied? Is it vacant? And if it is, like one of the old techniques we used to use, and don't do this anymore, you got to go out and buy it. We used to go by the post office and get like their urgent mail package, like the priority mail. And we'd stick our marketing piece in there, and you get like a 95% return call rate. But that's been deemed, don't do that because it's illegal, because you're stealing from the post office. But you can buy these marketing envelopes that say urgent that mimics the postcard, and they're about like $1, maybe $1.50 each. But listen, if I got like 40 prospects that are living there, like that's a good mail piece. And here's the one thing I learned about it.
Mm-hmm.
I started out door knocking. Okay. Different world. Would you agree back? Like in 2003, door knocking was like,
I was just talking about this yesterday.
Put some hair on your chest real quick. But here's the problem with door knocking. Everyone's got these dang Ring doorbells, and it really creates some problems, man. It really, like, because now I'm at work, the doorbell rings, and like you're pushing the button, and it's like, what the hell? Like, everybody's so. I saw a comedy piece the other day. Like, remember when you were a kid, somebody rang the doorbell, was like, I got a visitor. Like, the family was excited. It was either your best buddy coming over or the uncle stopping by. And now, like, when the doorbell rings, everyone's like, uh-oh, someone's at the door. What do we do? Like, everybody freezes. Who's going to answer the door? It's like, and during COVID-19, it's 10 times worse, right? The last thing you ever want to do. It's like, now the FedEx guy's pushing the button, and it's like, so here's a trick I learned, and I'm not even going to take credit for this. If you go to the door, so you're doing driving for $1, a probates, or a code violation, works for all three. If you have that packet, it costs you $1.50. Put your letter in there. You just put it at the door. If you want to ring the doorbell, like, you're better off knocking. As you ring the doorbell, they're not there. You're going to bug them at work, and you're just going to piss them off. So you have to actually knock on the door. Watch, just like that. My dog's probably go nuts when I do that. Now, what you probably want to do is just leave and walk away. We don't want confrontation. That's the idea. But what do they do if they open the door while you're opening it? Because it's often people looking out the window. What do you do then? Here's the key part. Hey, listen, I was just in the air, and my boss wanted me to drop this off. He said, this might, he wanted to get this to the owner of the house. Either they're going to be very aggressive and nasty to you. They're like, well, what is it? Then you go in your regular spiel. So it's like a permission slip to leave the property without getting shot, in my opinion.
Right.
So we have to be very careful. I do not advise anybody just to go rawly knock on doors. It's a little bit riskier in today's society, especially during this time frame. So, Jamel, tell them not to go out and knock on doors. But if you decide to do it in your market, have a release lever. Have a release lever.
Yeah.
So you can just, hey, listen, I'm just, I'm the I'm the Amazon guy, right? I'm just dropping off the package. Don't shoot me, and then you can get out of there.
That's what I was going to say.
Hey, yeah, but what if they actually want to talk to you? Like, you have so when I knocked on the door, you know what? This is so bad. It's so bad. Used to knock on the door and say, hey, Jamel, you the owner of this home? Yeah, I can't help but notice your pending problem with this property. That was it, man. It was very like, I'm not behind. No, you are. It's just like we got in this fight. I'm like, this is brutal, man. And so I do love the package idea, and it works in all types of properties. It also works when you can't get through to somebody trying to cold call. You've skipped trace and maybe you've mailed them. Just go leave that little extra packet on the door.
What's in the package? What's in there?
Simple letter. Just a simple letter. Simple.
And just take your copy. In an oversized post office envelope, right?
Yeah, they're like 8.5 by 11, and you put it in there. Don't steal them from your post office, but you can buy them now. They're everywhere. They kind of mock it. You'll see like an eagle on the front.
Yeah.
And then you get like that little sealed thing on it. People just love that. They can't stand it. You know what I'm saying? They literally can't stand it. So you put that on there, I guarantee they will open it up and they'll engage it. Now, they might throw it back at you. Just run. But it does make a tremendous difference. We used to do door knockers back in the day. They're not really effective anymore because all the pest companies, the maid services, dog sitters, they're very aggressive, these dog sitters. My God.
We used to slide flyers right in the door. I remember one time when my wife was pregnant with our second daughter.
Yeah.
We needed to go for a walk. So we went out and put flyers right in the door. While we were out, she went into labor because of all of the walking. But and then we got a deal from that and made like $15,000 from one of those flyers. So definitely it works. It's effective. And it's guerrilla marketing, old school marketing, but you have to do what other people are not willing to do in order to get a different result from what they're getting right now. Agreed?
And we used to take bandit signs and stick them in vacant properties that we couldn't get a hold of homeowners.
Same.
Ooh, boy, do you get phone calls, and we stopped doing it. It creates, as I said, it's a different world, and people feel, they get the neighbors really get upset over it, and it's fun. But I think, Jamel, like a lot of times you break it down. If you can learn the mechanics of doing probates, code violations, and driving for dollars, and start with driving for dollars. I would press hard on code violations and then set up some probates are a little bit more work involved. And I didn't do probates till 2012, 13. So I didn't do it my first 8 years of investing. You know how I found out doing probates? My accountant goes, you do more deals like that. I go, what do you mean like that? He goes, that you made like $25,000, which was a lot of money when I started. He goes, you did 4 of them.
Told you?
My accountant told me. And so we went back and me and my wife laid out all the deals, and all our top 10 deals were had a probate derivative, meaning some sort of probate. Now we found them off other forms of marketing. So then I go, listen, I'm going to rip the covers off on it and figure out how to do probates. And so that's how I came up with my priority probate system. And here's the thing is, I didn't even know how to do a probate when I did them. Like, I was like, oh crap, I got to deal with dead people. So the biggest help I had when I did probates is when I have a problem, I'd bring it to my title company, and they had a lawyer on staff, and they just go, oh, it's no big deal. It'll take 30 days to do that. And I started answering questions. But here's what I did. When I didn't know the answer, I didn't lie to my customers. I go, you know what? I don't know the exact answer to that, Mr. Smith, but let me go back to my lawyer. Let me get you an exact answer. Can I call you back at 2:00 today? And if not, I'll do a conference call. But after like a year, oh my God, like I figured out it was, and now I'm pretty much an expert on it. And so probate, so I'm going to finish off on this with you. Everybody kind of knows my probate marketing. It has a hook. It's much more than I want to buy your house is, did you know you could sell your house outside of probate process and cut through all the red tape? Give me a call. I'll show you exactly how to do it. The biggest frustration you'll find in a probate is the attorneys, at least mostly in the state of Florida, but I hear this all around the country, is you cannot sell that property until the probate's complete. BS, complete BS. A lot of times these people get these properties and they're bleeding. Like, I got to take care of it. I got to mow the lawn, the utilities, kids breaking into it. I got to pay the mortgage and the insurance. They can get permission to sell the asset. That money then goes to the estate. Now, it doesn't mean they get the money, but they stop the bleeding and they get the biggest headache off their lap. And a lot of
the times that money from the sale pays off all of the debt that was in the estate anyway.
Exactly. And they can, And so it could get a lot more advanced. They get distributions and all sorts of stuff, but it's like when you hear people that are distressed with probate, they're like, man, I'm stuck. Now you can't, I teach you can't piss off the attorney because he's just trying to get his fees going. And there's a lot of things we're not privy to it.
Right.
So we always try to work with the attorneys, never try to go around them because it's never going to work. But the idea, what I'm saying is I've solved the problem of what they had. I found a problem in probates nobody was solving. And then I found a unique way to marketing. So most marketing people is like, we'll just buy your house cash. We're investors. We'll close quick. Hey, listen, we're looking to buy a house in the area. And I know it's a difficult time. This probably might not even be the right time right now. But when you decide, give me a call. Oh, and by the way, did you know you could sell your house outside of probate? You don't have to wait till it's completed. We do this on a regular basis. I could show you exactly how to do it. Give me a call. So I don't tell them how to do it. I said, call me and I'll show you how to do it. And this is the first question. How can you do that? My lawyer said you couldn't do it.
Huh.
You can. Because you also know as an investor, if you wait to buy that house when it's coming out of probate, what's going to happen?
Yeah, it's going to be gone.
Competition is going to be thick.
It's going to be gone.
And so to me is, if I can engage them and solve the problem, if I can get there first with the contract, who cares if it takes 3 months or 6 months, right? It's like if you plant the seed and it comes back and it grows up to be $100 bill in 30 days, you okay with that? I'm fine with that. And I think a lot of investors are like, when you try to run people over, I will tell you this, we're all about getting a contract, right? Like, trust me, I want all my salespeople to walk away with a contract, but you've got to know when to stop pushing on people, because I think we stop being authentic. I think sometimes, listen, I got into real estate. Guess what? If you're really good at wholesaling, you don't really sell. Am I right? You just solve problems and you're a master marketer.
Right.
Selling, you teach your team how to sell and close and get the numbers up, then it's fun. But like, I love it because I usually have 10 or 12 deals each week. And then I'll sit down with Zach and my team and my wife and go, hey, dude, give this guy a break. Like, you guys are pounding the crap out of him. Like, let's back off. And then sometimes I'll go on backwards and I'll do the total go, listen, I want to apologize. My son can be a little aggressive and he has a, but I've been around the block. You know, I'm an old fart and I feel like we've disrespected you. And so I want to give you a little bit of space. What is it that, and a lot of times I go, man, and I get it all the time. Sometimes we've pissed someone off and I have like the ladies, man, they're just better at it sometimes than we are. Like and then most people that don't sign with us, they're either working us, which I'm used to it. We're all used to that. Or they're uncomfortable with something you're doing. They just don't want to tell you it.
Yeah.
So your job's to kind of unlock that.
I tell people all the time, especially my crowd that listens to this podcast, I basically tell them, look, you're a marketer first, then you're a problem solver, and then you're a real estate investor, in that very order as well. You got to drive the leads through marketing. You got to solve problems without being overly aggressive. And then you can make the money as an investor later.
But I also tell investors is, you got to push it. And then so I've lost deals pushing too hard. I've lost deals not pushing hard enough. So it's a constant moving parameter. I can't tell you on a spreadsheet. You instinctively learn it.
Right.
And I tell people, like, when do you think your precedents are? Like, when you stop being a human being, like the guy is telling you his wife's sick. He needs to make a decision. So here's what I always do with it. I've been doing this 16 years. You've been doing it longer than I have. It's easy after a year or two in real estate investing to go, they're all lying to me, right? They're all liars. And that's pretty much the truth. Your job is to try to wear their shoes for just 20 minutes and understand what they're thinking. And either some of them are going to lie to you. It's just the truth. And you want to get rid of those people as soon as possible. But you don't want to get rid of all the other people that they're trying to tell you they're not completely comfortable with you and you haven't proven yourself to them yet. Now, I don't want to take 6 months, but I took 4 years for one contract. Now, I didn't do it on purpose. It just came back around because I stopped pressing. And that's the beauty of it. They're like, listen, we liked you. We just had an internal family contact issue. I'm like, So a big part of, you talked about all the jobs we do, like the psychology is such a big part of what we do, but
Yeah,
it's a human experiment. Like every day, you have to decide if your customer is lying to you. And if they're lying to you, we want to get rid of the ones who are just completely lying us forecast. The ones that need more information, you got to ask better quality questions to
for
get it.
sure.
That's it.
For sure, man. So
Don't complicate it.
we have get the most inexpensive CRM, which at this point for most of you guys will be Google Drive. We have multiple ways to find deals, and then you just got to take action and make offers. That's your simple 3-step process today to go ahead and get started in real estate. Now, Rick, I know that you have a lot of different things going on right now. If our listeners wanted to get in contact with you, where should they go?
Real simple. Just look up Flip with Rick. You can go on YouTube's the easiest place. Facebook, Instagram, and you guys can follow my journey over the last 16 years. And then I brought my son into business when he was 16, and he actually just finished up college, and he's running full time with the business. And he's probably the smarter of the two of us. I have more wisdom, and I did it before. I was the pioneer, so he has the blueprint for it, and people like the way we kind of work. We just kind of
definitely.
He's better than I am, man. Like I hate to admit that, but
Jack is a beast, man. Especially how old is he now? What is he? Early 20s.
He just turned 20, and he went through he did college in. He did college in a year. He went to the University of Florida in a year and a half and got his bachelor's degree.
Yeah, Zach is he's a beast, man. Especially he's going to be a business mogul. 20 years old, he's already closing wholesale deals. I'll tell you that. He's been doing it since high school, and
he's fun. So we kind of, I share my ideas on there, and then Zach's he's a little bit better with the social media. So we actually use our business as our storyboard. So we kind of share all our deals, and we record conversations, and it's fun. It's a lot of fun. And so just check it out. We post on there like weekly. And then if you got a question, just shoot it to me. I got no problem. It's a little bit easier with Zach helping me out with everything. So
sounds good, man. Now I'm an avid audio learner. I don't like to read books too much. I have to be honest about it. So me personally, I listen to Audible a lot.
I do too.
What books are you currently listening to or reading at this point?
So the book list is long and large. So I do the Audible thing. I've gotten a little bit addictive on like fast forwarding stuff, and I've learned I'm missing out on some of the nuggets. Because if you go in like a Minnie Mouse speed, sometimes it's not what they say, it's how they say it. But really in the last month, I've been going back through the original Ray Dalio books. I think Principles of Success. He's a world famous investor, and he's taken a historical approach on the economy, on what's going on now, to try to predict the future. He doesn't know for sure, but he gives like blaring stuff that's going to happen over the economy of the next 3 years. It's a little bit complicated, and it's just a run through of how the U.S. economy works and how it ties into the world. And the idea is trying to understand when the panic and fear will settle in, and what's going to happen with the monetary system. I tell you, probably one of the books I read in the last year that had a huge impact on my psyche was the David Goggins book, which you talked earlier about, which like Can't Hurt Me. Now, it's not a business book. It's about a psyche. And he basically says, when you think you're at your max, you're only at 40%.
Wow, man.
And he goes, I can show anybody improve it.
What was the name?
Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins.
I'm gonna check that out.
It just teaches you about you. You have a governor on your body, and you're mostly on your mind, and he teaches you how to kind of release it. And the beauty is it can translate into physical fitness, business, spiritual, anything like do that. And so he says, when you hit your limit, you're only 40% there. And they've proven the numbers. So he teaches you how to, when you're at your max, like when you're at your limit, you're upset, you're only at 40% of what the human mind's capable of. And man, when you really grasp that concept, you're like, holy crap. And by the way, it serves the same for your relationship with your kids, your wife. And it was really like, I mean, eye-opening to me. I was just like, and by the way, that book you have to do it under Audible, because he does like live interviews after the chapter, and they go deep, man. Like they go, you know, they kind of talk to him. I've never heard a book done that way. And he did everything himself. He had all these book rights. It was kind of like the Rocky story.
Mm-hmm.
He went to sell it. He's like, nobody can tell the story. And he basically told me, if you ever do a movie, I got to be the actor. And I love it, man. And he's been offered like crazy money. He's turned everybody down. And so he's on all over on the podcast and stuff like that. He's broken, like he sets a record and he just breaks it, even though they tell him you physically can't do it. I mean, the man was 300 pounds and he wanted to be a Navy SEAL in like 90 days. And they said, you can't do it. You know, you can't exceed 100. I think it was 200 pounds. You can't be over 200 pounds.
He dropped 100 pounds in 90 days.
Yeah, he couldn't read a book because he had a learning problem.
Right.
And so like it just challenges your mind. Like, what do you think is your biggest struggle? And we're too guilty of reading all these, you know, you got EOS, you got traction books, you know, incredible books. Like I like to pick a book every other month that's outside of business and fitness for that part, and just do expanding. Now, I am reading some books on meditation, but I'm struggling with it to be fully it's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard. And then because the premise of meditation is to guide your day, is take 15, 20 minutes in the morning before you do anything else and do nothing but pose in a position and walk, take inventory of your thoughts. And I go, oh, that'll be fun. It's hard. I have a hard time with it. I'm going to learn it. But I find the most successful people always have some sort of meditation, because it gives them kind of peace, calmness, and it lets them kind of organize their thoughts. So if anybody out there can give me any suggestions on meditation. So I'm excited. That's kind of so I always like to find new areas to go in and go, oh, that's fun. And like, you know, we've talked about fitness and how to eat and stuff like that. So it's, I got to tell you, if I had to take one book, so I've read the David Goggins book. I listened to it 3 times. So it's 12 and a half hours, but it's great if you do driving for dollars. You're like, oh man. So that's what I'm on right now.
Mobile University.
Yeah, just don't. I will tell you, don't play his too fast, because you'll miss the point.
Yeah,
and that's the only problem I've learned. Like kind of with some of all the techniques. Oh, you can. I just learned about a service. I got to get the notes. You can pay a subscription service. They'll take a book. Remember back in the days in your school, they had like Cliff Notes.
Yeah.
They highlight the key points of the book and they give it to you in 15 minutes or less. And so there's basically, I don't know what, you don't call them a copyright or something. They pay someone, a professional, to go through the book, and then they'll give you an audio and they'll give you a text copy of it. I'm like,
never have to read a book again.
I don't know. I was never good with the Cliff Notes.
I like me neither, man. I like the experience of the book, man.
So, but it's just, see, we're always trying to hyper jump stuff like that. But like, I'm like you, I read a book, and I like some of the people that, you know, read 8 to 10 pages a day. That's doable. Mm-hmm. But I get like a little bit tired in the eyes, a little bit, stuff like that. And so I use that for my advantage. I don't listen to music.
I don't listen to music. I listen to books when I'm working out. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's kind of how I get through it myself.
I do a lot of podcasts too.
Yeah, yeah.
It's fun, but like sometimes I'm like, I'll start like I go, man, I got to write that down. And like, so you're at the gym or you're at like the grocery store, like, you know, stealing a pen off the counter. I've been to the bank. I'm like, give me your pen. I got to write some notes down.
Yeah.
And then the other thing I do, a little hack here, is just on the phone, whenever I have an idea and it comes to me and it overwhelms me, I just record it. And now the dang thing converts it to text for me and organizes it. And I don't even know how it does it. It's amazing. My wife bought me this phone. I was kicking and screaming the whole way. So it's really cool. I mean, the stuff we have today is just amazing. Yeah. But I will tell you, if you go back to the basics of connecting with people, marketing, and just remember, your job is to engage your prospect ethically. I don't have to say legally because I think that goes in with it. And then the rest of that is just put yourself in your customer's shoes for a minute. Like, do they want to hear the same crap over and over? You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You just change the words a little bit.
Absolutely, man. Great advice today, man. Great advice. Definitely some great books I'm going to check out myself as well. I'm going to link those books in the show notes for you guys who are listening to this podcast. If you're on YouTube, it'll be in the description box. And, we look forward to having you again sometime in the very near future, Rick, to share of your experiences of what happened after this whole commotion that's going on in the market right now and how your marketing efforts are different at that point. Fair enough?
Simplicity will win in the end here. I'm telling you.
There you go.
People just get down to basics and get it going. And maybe sometime we'll have to like meet in person. I love the technology and stuff, but the isolation's killing me, man. It's killing me. It's this haircut, man. The hair.
Well, no more COVID cuts, man. And soon the shops will be open again and everything will be back to normal. But hey, man, we look forward to having you again in the future, brother.
Awesome. I appreciate you having me, Jamal. Thank you.
Thanks, man.
Have a good one, buddy.
You too.